Despite the numerous issues with injuries and illness that have plagued this 2022 season, the league has arguably never been more talented than it is at this very moment, and that starts at the bottom and goes all the way up through the very best players. Steph Curry is rightfully leading the MVP race as his team has a great record and he is playing phenomenal basketball, having just recently set the official all-time record for three-pointers made. That's frickin' cool. Kevin Durant is leading the league in scoring. He's up next in the MVP race, carrying a bum Nets team as his two superstar co-stars have not shown up because one is afraid of shots and the other one doesn't know how to play basketball without the refs giving him a foul every time he throws his head back. Giannis Antetokounmpo is doing his thing. He is a two-way monster carrying a Bucks team that has had a whole lot of injuries and illness issues throughout this season. Although pretty much everyone is having them right now, the Bucks have been lucky enough to have them since the very start. Yay, Milwaukee! Giannis is doing his thing. You all know how good he is. He's the reigning Finals MVP, and nobody is going to forget how good this man is. And of course, we cannot forget LeBron James, carrying a pathetically, hilariously underwhelming Lakers team this season, where Anthony Davis has been hurt and playing like crap, and Russell Westbrook has been playing the way he usually does, aka like crap. LeBron has been going off, especially in the recent weeks, carrying the frick out of this team, trying to keep them in the playoff race, and he is deservingly getting a whole lot of buzz that despite being 75 years old, he may still be the best player in the NBA. I am not here to shit on any of these players. They are all incredible. But there is one player who is absolutely phenomenal in his own right, and no one is freaking talking about him, and that player is Nikola Jokic. Every single year, Jokic gets better, and every single year, the media ignores him. Even last season, when he won the MVP, nobody really talked about him until the end when he won, and everyone moved past it very, very fast. But this year, I'm not going to let you all forget. I'm not going to let him be ignored. Nikola Jokic just might be the best player in the NBA, and I'm here to tell you why. Let's start off with the basic numbers, shall we? Nikola Jokic is putting up the modest stats of 26 points, 13.5 rebounds, and 7.5 assists, along with a steal and a block, and he is doing this on the modest efficiency of 59% shooting from the field and 38% from three as a center. Not only are these efficiency numbers absolutely incredible, like, those are amazing efficiency numbers for anyone, but Jokic is doing that without his two best offensive players, as Jamal Murray is yet to play a game this season, and Michael Porter Jr. only played 9 games before going out with a back injury, and even in those 9 games, he kinda sucked butt. Now, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Monte Morris. Not bad players in the least. They are, in fact, very solid role players on this Nuggets team. But to say that they are proper replacements for two efficient 20-point-per-game scorers in Murray and MPJ would be ridiculous. Nikola Jokic does not have anywhere near the help that he is supposed to, and it shows in the team's record as they are only 15 and 14 in the NBA right now. Pretty much an average team. That is not Jokic's fault, however. This man has been absolutely beastin'. I mean, he has been incredible. You don't have to be some kind of advanced stats expert to see 66.4% true shooting, which is Nikola Jokic's true shooting, in case you couldn't figure that out. To see that percentage, 66.4%, and be like, damn, this dude's kind of frickin' efficient, and that's despite the fact that he only shoots 75% from the free throw line. Now that is not a great free throw number, it's decent enough, but it's not great. Imagine if this dude shot over 80% from the line. We're talking about some historic, all-time great efficiency from Nikola Jokic if he can just make a few more of his free throws. And even as it is right now, 59%, 26 points a game. That's ridiculous. 38% three-point shooting for a center on 4 attempts a game. That is Ridiculous. This is a center who is a legitimate 3-level scorer. He can drive past you, he's got some underrated ball handling guard-like skills, and obviously he is the best passing center and playmaking center in the history of the NBA. Those 7.5 assists are impressive for anyone. They are extra impressive when you once again consider that he is missing his 2 primary passing targets in MPJ and Jamal Murray. 7.5 assists a game, passing to Will Barton as his second leading scorer and second best scorer on the team. Not trying to shit on Will Barton here, but that's kind of crazy. This man is the best offensive center in NBA history, and no, it is not really a debate anymore. I'm sorry, Prime Shaq. I'm sorry, Prime Kareem, Prime Wilt, whoever the hell else you want to throw in the conversation. Nikola Jokic is the best offensive center ever, and he's only 26. That is not most players' primes. This dude is incredible. But there is one holdout on Nikola Jokic that I have been saying for years, and that is his defense. Nikola Jokic has for years been out of shape. He's too fat, he's too slow, he's too unathletic, he can't stay in front of anybody, he doesn't offer any rim protection outside of his size, he's just not a good enough defender to be the best player in the NBA. Well, I guess Nikola Jokic listened to me, and whatever the hell Zion was doing this offseason, gaining 500 pounds, Nikola Jokic did the exact opposite. This dude went to the gym, he got fit, he's looking trim, and he is looking better than ever on the NBA court. Now, he's not LeBron James out there, okay? You're not going to see him blocking a ton of shots. You're not going to see him with a whole bunch of highlight athleticism plays. But when it comes to basic rim protection, he now has the energy to actually put his arms up and jump a little bit to contest guys' shots. And when it comes to guarding a perimeter player in a switch, he's no longer completely incapable of defending a 40-year-old Dirk Nowitzki trying to drive past him. He can actually stay in front of dudes for a few seconds, and even if he's providing help defense, he can legitimately hedge or switch onto guys and then get back to his man. It is incredible for someone who used to be one of the worst defensive players in the league. Nikola Jokic is a legitimate positive on defense with his newfound athleticism and being in shapeness. Yes, that is a term I just made up. No, do not come at me. Sorry, I ran out of breath there for a second. Look, Jokic has always had a good defensive IQ. He has never had the body and physique to go along with that IQ and make it actually work. But with a great defensive coach and a whole lot of work ethic this offseason, Nikola Jokic is a legitimately good defender. Not a defensive player of the year. I've heard some morons out there saying he's some defensive player of the year. No, he is not. Alright, chill out. He's not like a freaking all-defense level guy, but he is a legitimately good defender. The eye test backs it up. The advanced stats back it up. He has become a two-way player. And considering he's already the best offensive center ever, I think it's pretty absurd that he is not getting more talk to be the best player in the entire NBA. Let's look at his competition, shall we? First of all, Joel Embiid. My boy. My man. I got my first jersey of him. He is my favorite player. He is the reason I got into basketball. But I have to admit that this season, Jokic has clearly been better. He clearly has. He's been much better on offense. Joel Embiid is still obviously a better defender, but in terms of consistency, of bringing it every single night, whether it's injuries or effort or whatever, Nikola Jokic is more likely to look like the best player in the league on any given night than Joel Embiid is. It hurts me to say it. I don't like talking about it, so let's just move on and leave it at that. So let's talk about the best players in the NBA moving past just centers. You have Curry, KD, LeBron, and Giannis. In terms of LeBron James, he has been amazing this season, but he has only been this amazing, as best player in the league level amazing, for the last 2 weeks. Starting off the season, LeBron was looking slow, he was looking old, and even though he may continue this for the rest of the season, I don't believe he will. And I am going to go out on a limb and assume that he's going to fall back down at least a little bit and say that Jokic is better than LeBron at this point. He's much older, and I don't believe he's able to sit there and put up 30 points a game on this amazing efficiency and carrying the Lakers for the entire season. I just don't think he's that guy anymore. He's been incredible lately, but we haven't seen it for a full season for a couple years now, and I don't think he's better than Jokic anymore. I just don't. Kevin Durant is the next easiest one for me. I would say that both of these guys are on a similar level defensively. I may even give KD a slight edge despite Jokic's improvements and despite the fact that KD is by no means an all-defense guy either. But on offense, it is clearly Jokic, and I don't really understand why people seem to think Kevin Durant is a better offensive player than he is. Now look, before you start screaming at me. He's the second best scorer ever. And he's the best scorer in the league right now. By far. It is clear. And if you think he's the best scorer all time over Michael Jordan, I disagree, but I don't think you're an idiot for thinking that. He is incredible as a scorer. His efficiency is incredible. His ability to take these insane shots over literally anyone is incredible and unmatchable. But as a playmaker, he is at best slightly above average, and Nikola Jokic is one of the best ever. That is the difference there. Playmaking is a massive part of offense. It's why Steph Curry has been better than Kevin Durant since 2015. Clearly, he was the best player on the Warriors on offense. And it's why Nikola Jokic is better than Kevin Durant right now, because he is a phenomenal playmaker and an elite scorer. Kevin Durant is just an elite scorer and a decent playmaker. Jokic is a better player. I don't really think it's that insanely close. Like, it's close, but it's also not. Does that make sense to you? That maybe doesn't make sense, but that is my opinion. Giannis is a beast. He's a two-way player. He's a Finals MVP. We know how good he is. But if you need someone to get you a bucket at the end of the game in the clutch, I would still take Jokic. His mid-range game is impeccable. He's a better free throw shooter, a better three-point shooter. He's just better, and he's better at getting his teammates involved. Yes, Giannis is a much better defender, but I think the offensive gap is more important, and I am giving the edge to Jokic. I think it's very close. I think if you think Giannis is better, you're not like a moron for thinking that. Hell, I think if you think Kevin Durant is better, I don't think you're a moron for thinking that. But me personally, I have to choose one of these two dudes. I'm taking Nikola Jokic this season. I think he's been better than Giannis. So the last dude is Steph Curry, the current MVP leader, my pick at the start of the season, and even like 2 weeks ago, for being the best player in the entire NBA. He has been in a little bit of a slump lately. Ever since he started chasing that three-point record, he seemed to get into his head about it. He slowed down a little bit. He wasn't playing as good as he has been. And it makes it really tough to decide here, because for the start of the season, Steph was clearly the best player. He's recently slowed down. Jokic has been consistent all the way through. Right this second, I am going to give the slight edge to Curry and say that Curry is a slightly better player than Jokic. He is number one and Jokic is number two. But if Steph does not end this slump, if he does not go back to looking like the best player in the league every single night, and Jokic keeps playing at the level he's been playing at, 2 weeks from now, I may have Jokic number one. By the end of the season, I will not be surprised if Jokic is number one in my book. And next season, when Curry is older, LeBron is older, KD is older, and they all get a tiny bit worse, and Jokic gets a tiny bit better because he's only 26, that is not most players' peak season, only 26, Jokic is probably going to be the best player in the league last year, or at the very least, one of the clear top two with Giannis. That's how good this dude is. He is incredible. People are sleeping on him, and I think that's just that's how I'm gonna end the video right there. Jokic is the second best player in the league. He very easily could be the best, and he's underrated. People need to talk about him more. He's amazing. Still like Joel Embiid more though, just saying.